Chamunatira Vandachari Chamunatira Vandachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopijanna Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijanna Vallabha Girivardhari Sodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Chamunatira Vanachari Chamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Nandi, Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8, Text number 42. Tat tata gacha bhadram te Yamunayastatam Suchi Punyam Madhuvanam Yatra Sanidhyam Nityada Hare Tattata Gacha Bhadram Te Yamunayastatam Suchi Punyam Madhuvanam Yatra Sanidhyam Nityada Hare Tat, that. Tata, my dear son. Gacha, go. Bhadram, good fortune. Te, for you. Jamunaya, of the Jamuna. Tatam, bank. Suchi, being purified. Punyam, the holy. Madhuvanam, of the name Madhuvan. Yatra, where. Sanidhyam, being nearer. Nityada, always. Hare, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation. My dear boy, I therefore wish all good fortune for you. You should go to the bank of the Jamuna, where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvan, and there be purified. Just by going there, one draws nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always lives there. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Both Narada Muni and Suniti, the mother of Dhruva Maharaj, advised Dhruva Maharaj to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Narada Muni is especially giving him directions how this worship of the Supreme Personality of the Supreme Person can very quickly fructify. He recommends that Dhruva Maharaj go to the bank of the Jamuna, where there is a forest of the name Madhuvan, and begin his meditation and worship there. Places of pilgrimage yield a special advantage for a devotee in quickly advancing his spiritual life. Lord Krishna lives everywhere, but still it is very easy to approach him in holy places of pilgrimage, because these places are inhabited by great sages. Lord Sri Krishna says that he lives wherever his devotees are chanting the glories of his transcendental activities. There are many places of pilgrimage in India, and especially prominent are Badari Narayan, Dwarka, Rameshwara, and Jagannath Puri. These places are called the four Dhams. Dham refers to a place where one can immediately contact the Supreme Lord. To go to Badari Narayan, one has to pass through Hardwar on the path to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, there are other holy places of pilgrimage such as Prayag, Allahabad, and Mathura, and the topmost of them all is Vrindavan. Unless one is very advanced in spiritual life, it is recommended that he live in such holy places and execute devotional service there. But an advanced devotee like Narada Muni, who is engaged in preaching work, can serve the Supreme Lord anywhere. Sometimes he even goes to the hellish planets. Hellish conditions do not affect Narada Muni because he is engaged in greatly responsible activities in devotional service. According to the statement of Narada Muni, Madhuvan, which is still existing in the Vrindavan area in the district of Mathura, is a most sacred place. Many saintly persons still live there and engage in the devotional service of the Lord. There are 12 forests in the area of Vrindavan, and Madhuvan is one of them. Pilgrims from all parts of India assemble together and visit all 12 of these forests. There are 5 forests on the eastern bank of the Jamuna: Bhadravan, Bilvavan, Lohavan, Bandiravan, and Mahavan. On the western side of the bank there are 7: Madhuvan, Talavan, Kamudavan, Bahulavan, Kamyavan, Kadiravan, and Vrindavan. In those 12 forests there are different ghats, or bathing places. They are listed as follows: Avimukta, Adiruddha, Guyatirtha, Prayagtirtha, Kanakala, Tindukatirtha, Suryatirtha, Vatsavami, Dhruvagat, in brackets, Dhruvagat, where there are many nice trees of fruits and flowers, is famous because Dhruva Maharaj meditated and underwent severe penances and austerities there in an elevated spot. Rishi Tirtha, Moksha Tirtha, Buddha Tirtha, Gokana, Krishna Ganga, Vakunta, Asikunda, Chatur Samudrika Kupa, Akrura Tirtha, in brackets, when Krishna and Balaram were going to Mathura in the chariot driven by Akrura, all of them took baths in this ghat. Yagika Vipra Sthana, Kubja Kupa, Rangasthala, Manchasthala, Malayudhastana, and Dasavameda. So here Narada Muni giving Dhruva Maharaj instruction to, because he's a young boy and he's a young devotee at this stage, just beginning his devotional service, Narada Muni is directing him to go to a place which is the environment itself will support his devotional service. So, in the beginning of our devotional service, it's very important that our service is supported, because we may not be able to always be fixed up in feeling the presence of the personality of Godhead by the strength of our own spiritual realizations, because we're just beginning to even understand Krishna or to have faith in Krishna and to practice Krishna consciousness. But as described a little further on, so Srila Prabhupada is first describing that places of pilgrimage yield a special advantage for a devotee in quickly advancing his spiritual life. Lord Krishna lives everywhere, but still it is very easy to approach him in holy places of pilgrimage, because these places are inhabited by great sages. So, here we see that Suniti, Dhruva's mother, directed Dhruva Maharaj to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is a general instruction, but Narada Muni, who is a very expert spiritual guide, spiritual master, he's given more specific spiritual instruction according to Dhruva Maharaj's specific circumstances. So, in spiritual life, there are many devotees who sometimes point the way. What's that? Pratvimakshana, what's that word? What's that? What is that? Say it again. Yeah, the one who points the way. Vadma Pradakshina. Yeah, Guru. So one who points the way. I remember I was in New Zealand. There's one devotee. They called him Rainbow. Yeah. You know Rainbow?
Rainbow is not village boy from
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone knew Rainbow. And the amount of people who came to Krishna consciousness because Rainbow said to them, you know, go and visit the Hare Krishna temple and like that. So many people, you'd ask them, oh, you know, who guided you to come? Oh, Rainbow. You know, so many people. So of course he used to have his rainbow hat, and he always wore sunglasses.
Sorry, I think it's not turned on.
He wore sunglasses. So he pointed the way, but his ability to practice Krishna consciousness was limited. He struggled to follow the principles. He still liked to have a little bit of the, bit of the hoochie cooch. But so that's why he wore the sunglasses even in kirtan. So, he's pointing the way. We're not putting any aspersions on Saniti. Don't take it that way. But sometimes people can point the way to Krishna consciousness, but as far as giving more specific instructions, there are more mature devotees, and the more advanced a devotee is, their ability to guide a devotee is very, very sharp. For a very advanced devotee, they can spot a person's level of Krishna consciousness exactly, the exact level they're on. And they can spot the Maya, just 1 second of Maya, they'll see it. And they'll see exactly. It's as clear as day. It stands out like a sore thumb, as they say. People will always know that, they would state that when Srila Prabhupada looked at them, it's like he looked straight through them. He could see everything. Just straight through. There's no barriers, nothing you can hide. Srila Prabhupada looked at you, he's seeing everything. And of course, that is one of the qualities of the very advanced devotee. I had a very strange experience, very mystical experience, when I was first reading the Gita, and I actually left my job. When I found the Gita, a friend of mine came to me and said, I've got a new car, I'm driving to Western Australia just to try out the new car. So from Melbourne to Western Australia, that's how you try out a new car in those days. Would you like to come for a ride? So I quit my job and, because I was thinking, I could read the Gita all the way across and all the way back. So in those days, of course, you just leave your job and you come back and get a new one. Because you didn't need CV, you didn't need any qualifications. You just if you had a good pair of work boots, you can get a job like that. So I was reading the Bhagavad Gita on the way to Perth, hours and hours and hours. He was listening to some rock and roll on the radio. And at one stage I got tired and I jumped into the back seat and I fell asleep. While I was dreaming, so on the pretext of a dream, as I say, this yogi visited me. And so in this, sort of dream, I saw myself sitting in the front of the car again, looking at another car in front of me. And in that car, there was, people about my age, about, maybe 17, and about 18, 19, about 19, I was. And, the guys had their arms around the girls' shoulders, and they were drinking, they were smoking, just doing all the normal things that Aussie teenagers do. And then, as I looked, I saw that there was this yogi there as well. But I couldn't quite place him. I couldn't put him in the car, and he wasn't out. He was just sort of almost superimposed on that vision, just almost transcendental. But, in that picture. And then I thought to myself, I wonder if he knows that I'm watching him. This yogi, he had this beautiful golden complexion. It was like olivey golden. Straight hair, no top on, and beautiful, skin, just without any imperfections or anything. Long face, and just completely, you could see, just as calm as a mountain. And what he did was he yawned. So side on, he yawned, which in the nectar devotion is a symptom of ecstasy. In other words, sometimes an advanced devotee, they'll yawn, and that yawn indicates that the whole material existence means nothing to them at that sort of a yawn. You can see it, everything. So when I saw him, I could understand that whatever these people were doing in this car, which is basically all the things I wanted to do in life, he was just completely aloof from it on another platform. And then actually he turned and slowly he looked straight into my eye, and when he looked into my eye, it just pierced my heart. I just felt his look literally just pierced my heart, and almost like that. And so 2 or 3 times in the course of that a very strange dream, he did that. So when I woke up, I actually felt that a yogi had visited me and confirmed that because I was reading the Gita, I was actually doing the right thing, and that I felt that, he was someone who really knew me because of the glance. It just, very, very powerful. He just looked right. It's almost like he didn't just look at me, he looked through my whole existence, examined it like that. And it was like, but also it was almost like you sort of, you could see he was a person of knowledge. When you see someone who's very wise, very grave, you just, a little bit of it, you can almost taste a little bit of it, And, people who take a lot of intoxication, when they associate with someone who's very sober, a little bit of that soberness just rubs off on them. You can feel it like that. So it was like that. And so from that look, I understood that he was a person who appeared to be watching me from a transcendental position and confirming that reading the Bhagavad Gita, I'm doing exactly the right thing, like that, and that there was someone who's going to guide me like that. So this, and of course, coming to Krishna consciousness, you understand that literally everyone that Prabhupada looked at got that sort of a look. It's like when Prabhupada looked at it, it just, bam, you got zapped. So, a very expert devotee, they can see a person's advancement on the spiritual path, and they can see how a person, the level of Maya, that is affecting that person's consciousness. In the same way that, when we, sometimes you go outside and you smell the breeze, and, it may pass over the rose garden, and you can understand, some beautiful roses being, homegrown. Someone has cared for them, properly nurtured them. These are, mature roses, and they have a beautiful scent. So someone's, some sattvic person. Prabhupada said that, in the West, he noticed a lot of people looked after their gardens. And, he said this is a sattvic quality, to maintain. Now, they sort of grow old car wrecks and things like that in their front gardens. But, Prabhupada, one time my daughter asked me, if you want to buy some property, how do you know where to buy property? And I said, what you do is you look for a street where houses are relatively within your range, and you look for a street where there's nice gardens. That would be a good place to live. And if you buy the worst house in a good street like that, that's a good investment. Then you do it up a little. And if you go to the street, there's, people don't maintain the gardens. There's rajas and tamas and so many things like that. So, but, even from the breeze that's coming, you can see, so a transcendentalist is like that. They can actually, just as you can, it's so subtle, but they can see exactly. They say, oh, yeah, there's a rose garden here. Oh, there's a frangipani over here, like that, And they can even perceive your individuality different from other devotees. So, here, Narada Muni is therefore giving Dhruva Maharaj specific instruction that for you, better to be in a place where the environment itself has a special advantage to support your, fledgling spiritual life. And this is, of course, this is why Srila Prabhupada created ISKCON. ISKCON itself means that not only has Srila Prabhupada created temples all over the world where people can go, and the temple environment literally supports their inclination towards spiritual life, especially because there are so many devotees there. It is very important, that point that Srila Prabhupada makes. It's the sadhus, the devotees, the association with devotees that enhances the spiritual potency of a temple. Sometimes we see that some guests, they come, they don't associate with the devotees so much. They see them, little association, they're getting some benefit. Just to look at a devotee, and you say, you pick up a lot. People look at a devotee. One time, I was with Korma doing a preaching program somewhere. One of the last times it was in Melbourne. And I was in my devotional clothes, and I can't remember what it said, like, I'm not really doing much preaching or something like that, at this particular place where we work. And he said to me, don't ever underestimate the impact it has on people to see a devotee in their full, devotional clothing, tilak, especially an elderly devotee, like, they're 50, 60 years. Sometimes people expect that some younger, people, they may sort of join this movement, that movement, they're into everything, and you don't take much notice of them. They're in it for 2 weeks and they're off to this. But someone who's, appears to be quite, old enough to be a grandfather, and they've got the devotional clothes and like that, it actually makes a big effect on people, just to see that. Quite often when I'm doing home programs, I think like that I've come to someone's home, and this is the first time a devotee has ever come to this person's home. And you don't really have to do a lot. You just do a little kirtan, very simple tune, Hare Krishna, read a verse from the Gita, have a little chat. Just the fact that the devotee is there, fully dressed, tilak, and doing those, it's a big impact on people. You can see it. So, but some people come to the temple, of course, and they take more association. And the more association we take with the devotees, especially if we do it nicely, the more the spiritual potency of a temple, we can take advantage of it. The spiritual potency is there, Krishna is there, but Krishna likes to act more through his devotees. He will act himself, but quite often he acts in such a way as to give a person faith in his devotees. And if we, especially in the beginning, hearing is very important. not so much talking. In the beginning, because we have so many things that are misconceptions from our previous, activities and from previous lives. So many crazy things whizzing around their brain just as a result of, the crazy environment we live in. And, to protect ourselves from doing something foolish or saying something foolish, it's better not to, just be always talk. It's better to hear a lot from the devotees. And that makes, and chant a lot. Always be chanting Hare Krishna and hearing like that. If we're going to talk, chant Hare Krishna. So, in that way. But here also, Srila Prabhupada mentions that he says, places of pilgrimage yield a special advantage for devotee in quickly advancing his spiritual life. Lord Krishna lives everywhere, but still it is very easy to approach him in holy places of pilgrimage because these places are inhabited by great sages. Lord Sri Krishna says that he lives wherever his devotees are chanting the glories of his transcendental activities. Very, important statement there. That, and further down, Srila Prabhupada says, he says, unless one is very advanced in spiritual life, it is recommended that he live in such a holy place. So we're hearing about the dhams and also the temples, and execute devotional service there. But an advanced devotee like Narada Muni, who is engaged in preaching work, can serve the Supreme Lord anywhere. Sometimes he even goes to the hellish planets. Hellish conditions do not affect Narada Muni because he is engaged in greatly responsible activities in devotional service. That's a big statement there. Narada Muni and great acharyas, powerful preachers, they have, as Prabhupada says here, they're engaged in greatly responsible activities in devotional service. So the activities of a devotee who are very advanced, they can actually see the situation that when they see the spirit soul in the material body, immediately they understand this person is caught up in the cycle of birth and death. And somehow or another, if someone can come into contact with the devotee for a few moments, that's an opportunity for a devotee to catch that person, and it's an opportunity over, could be hundreds of lifetimes, could be millions of lifetimes, it could be to catch that person and stop that repetition of birth and death. A very rare chance. So a devotee, they see that and they try to capture as many spirit souls as they can, place them at the lotus feet of Krishna. So because they can perceive things very, very clearly, they're not distracted. When there's something really important that needs to be done, we don't get distracted. We become distracted when we don't realise the importance, the significance of what is happening. If a person came to our temple, we might not pay them any attention. And then if someone said, "Oh, that's so-and-so Maharaj," or that's that wonderful devotee who does all this nice preaching and so forth, but they've come in Western clothes because they've just come off the plane, So we might, let's take this opportunity. I may only see this person once in a lifetime. And I remember, one of the first times I saw Mukunda Maharaj. Of course, Mukunda was one of Srila Prabhupada's very first devotees who helped him to, start the movement. And I'd read the whole Leelamritas, and then, then he came to Australia. It was one of the first times he came to Australia. And we went out and did Harinam. I was thinking, here's this person, here's this Mukunda Maharaj. I've read about him, this Prabhupada's right-hand man. Here he is, just leading the kirtan. So every opportunity you get, you just try and get a glance, see if you can get him to look at you. Somehow that, if he looks at you, then Krishna's looking at you, Krishna's watching this devotee, and if he's looking at me, then Krishna's looking at me. So you're not missing. You don't care what's happening on the streets. Everyone else there, looking in the windows and, the noises and the people and the fashions and, even the devotees sometimes doing a little window shopping is there, Hare Krishna. Oh. Come back and pick one of them up. But so if you can, you understand or catch that moment, there'll be a few. I didn't know whether I'd ever see him again. Would he ever come to Australia? There's one kirtan. Will I ever even see him again? Fortunately, he did. But, when you see advanced devotees like that, you don't miss that opportunity. But you understand. See, I'd read the Leelamritas, so I had knowledge. I knew who this person was. I'm not going to miss. But if we don't understand the situation, so at very advanced devotees, they can be anywhere, but they know exactly what's happening. They can see, and so they don't miss a second. Here's this spirit soul. And if they see the slightest little receptivity, they don't miss that either. Or this person is actually slightest little, 1/1000th of a, turning his head towards Krishna. After millions and millions of years. So, of course, in preaching Krishna consciousness, sometimes, because of the, the financial restraints of a temple, we have to be, productive. As a Sankirtan devotee, if you go out in the street, you've got so many books, you've got to go out, so much Lakshmi, liberated, things like that. You've got to be a little result-orientated. But at the same time, we can't miss that opportunity that if we see in the midst of being a little result-orientated, someone's turned their head a little bit towards Krishna, you've got to see that and not miss that. That's that person, and it could be someone you think, oh, this person will never be a devotee, I'm not going to waste my time. But that person may be able to go back to Godhead. And so we try and catch that opportunity. So, and Srila Prabhupada mentions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that, there are many acharyas who never ever went to Vrindavan. Certainly they went to different holy places. Vrindavan is the topmost holy place. But there are many acharyas who never went there because they were engaged in, Krishna consciousness as a, spiritual teacher and guide, liberating so many people back to Godhead. So but that doesn't mean that somehow they were deficient. Sometimes in the course of preaching, devotees may go to the holy Dham, sometimes they may not. But generally Prabhupada wanted the devotees to regularly go every year, if they could, to the holy Dham, because when we do preach Krishna consciousness, you can pick up a lot of contamination, a lot of, the material energy can affect you. So just to recharge the spiritual batteries and, get rid of those cobwebs, we tend to do that, go there and associate devotees, hear and chant about the pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna in the association of very advanced devotees. But, now, a very interesting, scenario that I come across, because I go to a lot of householders' homes, and one of the things that I see that even amongst devotees who are very much associated with ISKCON, even for a long period of time, and initiated, that still they somehow feel that Krishna is at the temple more and in their home to a lesser degree. You see? But actually Krishna is everywhere equally. Even in hell, what to speak, you go to these families, these devotee families' homes, you know, at the very least it's like Indraloka. You know, some of them, you know, the good behaviour, the good qualities of the family that live there, everything is pakka, everything is suchi, everything is clean, beautiful environment, everything is peaceful, sattvic, and they're Krishna conscious. But many of them don't realise that that point that they can make like that Vrindavan, like Srila Bhaktivedanta call. You know, if one is Krishna conscious, then one will see even one's home as Vrindavan. The Krishna is there, and anyone who comes to that home will feel the Vrindavan atmosphere and also be spiritually charged in the association with those devotees. And that's what we want. We actually want that every householder family who lives somewhere away from the temple, that every one of them learns that art to make their home Vrindavan. And there's no reason why they cannot. And when people go there, they will feel that there's a great advantage in coming to their home. My Krishna consciousness feels very much supported at that. So that should also be there. That's what these temples are for. The temples are to train people to see Krishna everywhere. Ultimately, we're trying to get people to that point. We're trying to train people to see people everywhere and to create the Vrindavan everywhere all over the world. The temples are not that, you'll only find Krishna here. And what is going on in your home is not very relevant to us. That's not. Actually, the whole educational system of ISKCON is to help people to fully feel the presence of Krishna at all times and all places, and in every town and village and every home that Vrindavan atmosphere should be there. And then our Krishna consciousness is, that is the preaching of Narada Muni. So, but we understand that, as with Narada Muni, not all householders can just immediately do that. So therefore, they should come to the temple as often as they can and do service and associate with devotees until they have that strength. Well, not until, they always. But at some stages, some devotees are having to live further away, and their family responsibilities mean that they sometimes come to the temple less. But at that stage, they should be so Krishna conscious that they can create that Vrindavan atmosphere and not feel that, I'm somehow, my spiritual life is diminishing because I can't get to the temple like that. So I'm just going to leave it there. If anyone has any questions or comments about anything we've discussed here today. Yep. So what was your name? Jared. Jared. Hare, thank you.
I really enjoyed this talk. Thank you, because you really tied a lot of loose ends up for me that I've been wondering about, and it's exactly what I needed to hear.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
So, for me personally, I can see how Krishna is influencing and arranging this specific topic at this specific moment in time. It's very, very specific. And thank you.
Hare Krishna, and thanks to Krishna for arranging. He does. Krishna speaks directly to us. Actually, Prabhupada mentions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that from the very beginning, when we turn to Krishna with that mood of surrender, from the very beginning, Krishna takes direct charge of a devotee. Not from an end, not after so many years of maturity. Prabhupada says from the very beginning, one begins that process of surrender very sincerely. Krishna takes direct charge from that, and therefore he is speaking to us through the Bhagavatam. Thank you for your comments. All right, we'll leave it there. Jai. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.